What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Free Show Friday. Hopefully, you guys had a good week, and I'm excited. I'm excited. Let me turn this down, and let me know if you guys can hear me okay. Those who are online, and I'm excited to be here. Excited to be here. I'm gonna take these off. I don't think I need that. Well, those who are on, check in. Let me know where you're from. I love to hear that and see that, and we're going to go ahead and get started with a quick review. The first thing I want to talk about is what we talked about last, or just this past week, I should say, not last, but what we discussed this past week. And that had to do with live streaming audio, right? And so when we talk about live streaming audio, there is a lot that goes into that. And my question to you is how do you currently live stream your audio in terms of using FreeShow? Where does your audio come from? And I say that in terms of, do you use a soundboard? Do you run it directly off from your computer? How do you manage your audio? And I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've found related to audio on FreeShow. So one of the first things that I found was when you do decide to switch your audio, right? So I've got a playlist here. If I were going to switch where my audio was going to out of my computer, so let's say you're playing music or something like that from your computer that you're running FreeShow on. Some people don't do that. Like I said, I recognize that. I want to know, do you guys use multiple computers to stream your audio? If so, let me know. But if you were to use the computer that you've got FreeShow on, you literally can run your audio from your audio tab, go to the playlist, make a playlist out of it, right? We've talked about that a little bit. We'll review that a little bit later on because we're going to talk about beginner stuff and things like that, and then intermediate and on into the advanced. But when we talk about that, you can go to the right side. After you get your audio set up, you go down to the bottom and select audio settings, and it brings you into this option called custom audio output. And this custom audio output is unique because it allows you to direct your audio however you want to from your computer, right? So you can send it. I've got different screens here that I can send it to. I've got virtual outputs I can send it to. I've also got my speakers on my computer that I could send it to, but also the external headphones. My recommendation is to obviously use your external headphones and plug in an auxiliary port from your computer into your soundboard if you're using a soundboard. And then when you do that, it allows or opens a door for you to make that audio go directly into the soundboard. That soundboard is then connected in-house to all of your speakers, monitors for the stage and all that kind of stuff in terms of audio speakers, right? We got some folks joining us. Louisville, Kentucky, Big L's S305. Welcome. And then Al from, I don't know, Galena, Illinois. Is that how you say that? Galena? Let me know if I'm saying that right. And what part of Illinois is that from? Or in, I should say. Big L, happy Resurrection Day to you too, my friend. But when we talk about this audio piece, make sure that you're setting it up the way you want. And then when it comes to this idea, if you're using FreeShow for your live stream with OBS, it becomes even more interesting because if you're going to use it with OBS, the idea, let me pull up OBS. The idea is that you want to make sure that you've got it set up to work properly. And I'm going to try to split these screens. So let's do it this way. And so we'll pull that here and we'll keep OBS here. All right. And so you can see both of my screens. Ignore the delay if there is one. Okay, so Al says Galena, Illinois is on the northwest tip. All right. So you right up there. That's like, is that by the lakes, by the Great Lakes? Northwest? Right? If I don't have a map in my head, but I'm guessing it's close to it at least. Maybe not. And so we've got OBS and we've got FreeShow open here. Your settings in OBS are going to dictate how your live stream is set up. And so for me, I had an option called FreeShow Live Stream. You can go back and look at the video in detail, but I had an option called FreeShow Live Stream. The main thing is if you're going to turn on a live stream from FreeShow, you got to go into your outputs and then actually activate it. And so I would enable it, and it shows up there, and it's this lower thirds with a transparent background that you'll see there. And so when I do that, any audio that I play will automatically come in through OBS, because when you have FreeShow as a source, it automatically has an audio signal tied to it through NDI if in your settings you activate the audio for that output. All right, you've got to activate the audio, and it'll automatically stream through completely seamlessly. So if you're playing audio from here, it'll go through. Now, if you're using your soundboard to send, if you want to send the audio to your soundboard and then out to your, and get your live stream audio off from your soundboard, then that's a different setup, and you would just run that directly into your camera, right? And so you would have this particular audio setup to where the live stream wouldn't necessarily be active. It wouldn't need to be active. You would run all your audio from your computer in FreeShow. You would run it all into the auxiliary port, or the microphone port is what it calls on my computer. So the external headphones on my computer, you would select that as your main audio output on your computer, and you would run that into your soundboard, and then your soundboard, you would run that into your camera, would be my recommendation. Run all the audio into your camera. And then once you do that, it'll show up as, you make that be your auxiliary input here from your camera capture card device, is what I would set it up as. And for me, I believe mine is set that way as well. If I go to my audio settings, yeah, so my capture card is called USB 3 digital audio, and that's what I use for that. Some of you may use your ATEM as your main camera source, where all your cameras are connected to your ATEM, which makes a lot of sense. If you got more than one camera, then this mic auxiliary would be your ATEM, or it'd be called like Blackmagic something. Let's see if I even have, I got, yeah, Blackmagic Design is what it would be labeled as. All right. And so that's just a quick overview of how that setup works. The thing that I want you to take away from it is, if you were to change your output, your audio output, what I identified was that when you change your audio output, it does not automatically update while your music is playing. And so what you have to do is you have to clear out your audio. So you have to clear all audio, or clear all, whatever one, and then pick the song that you want to play with that new output selected, and it'll automatically reset. If you try to do it real time, you're going to notice that it does not change. And that can be frustrating if you know that you've got everything set up properly and everything's routed right. It can be frustrating to do that, right? So, oh, Al says, no, it's on the other side. So northwest. So, okay, so the lakes are on the other side. Gotcha. Okay, sweet. Well, post any questions you guys have about the live stream audio portion of this. But the next thing I want to talk about is kind of a new layout, and I'm still working on some things with FreeShow and the FreeShow Friday. But the layout that I'm thinking I'm going to use today, we're going to try it out, is beginner level content, intermediate level content, and then advanced level content, as best I know. I'm not going to act like I'm an advanced user, but I know I'm a pretty confident intermediate user. I can make FreeShow pretty much do whatever I want it to do. And then with the advanced level stuff, it's a little bit different as well. All right. So what I want to do first is let's talk about beginner level stuff. So from a beginner level today, I want to discuss this idea of managing your outputs in FreeShow. When we talk about this, oh, before we do that, I want to turn on my discussion topic. Let's see here. Big L asks, would you suggest using a phone for the audio and it comes through the soundboard via OBS, or use audio through FreeShow? You know, me being me, I would probably want both. I would probably run both of them to my soundboard though, and then manage everything from the soundboard, and have that. It just gives you that much more granular control over everything. And so for me, the more control that you can have over each individual input, the better. So you can have your computer as one input on the soundboard if you got room for it, have your phone as a separate input on the soundboard if you got room for it, and then manage those accordingly, right? So if you know those songs are available, and you don't want to put that load on your computer, and you got them on your phone, run it through your phone on the soundboard. But I would still run it all through my camera, right? Connect the soundboard directly to your camera somehow, and then get that audio into OBS through the capture card. Would be my thoughts with it, because that way it'll all be in sync if it runs through your camera. So I know you guys are probably thinking, why is he saying run your audio from your soundboard to your camera? If you do that, including your Blackmagic Design or whatever it is, if you run it through a camera, right, and then into the Blackmagic ATEM switcher, you will have audio that's in sync. That's the main thing. That's the most important part of it to me. You can adjust that, right? And so you can play with it and adjust the syncing and all that kind of stuff, or the delay. But if you can do it, I would run it, both of them, to my soundboard, computer and the phone that you're talking about. And then from there, I would connect it to my camera. So it doesn't really matter either way. You said using a phone for the audio, and it comes through the soundboard via OBS. Like I said, the OBS, if you run it straight your soundboard back into your computer through OBS, what ends up happening is, like I said, you got to adjust for the delay, because sound just travels faster than video. It's just less data to carry over. So you would have to make sure you adjust that delay, which you may have already. But for me, my perspective is run it all through the camera, or one camera. It doesn't have to all go through all your cameras. If you got 3 cameras, just run through one camera, and then run that into your switcher if you got 3 cameras, and then have your switcher run the audio from that input, just that one input that is on. And so right now, for example, I'm using, I believe, my ATEM switcher for the audio you guys are hearing now, but it's all going directly into my camera, into the ATEM, and then to this. And I've only got one camera, but I'm just using the ATEM because I also was using it for some other stuff. The work that I do with demos and stuff like that, I use a lot of different equipment. And so it gets a little complicated, but simplified. Audio through your camera is going to be the simplest way to do it. And that means all of it, from the soundboard directly into the camera, right? And then the capture card will get that audio into your computer. And then, I'm guessing, you definitely will have to make that adjustment, Big L, when you're doing it directly to your computer. But are you saying you're doing it through your camera and you still have to make adjustments? Yeah. And so if you run it through your camera, though, you should not run into that needed adjustment, because it's coming in together. The audio and the video are coming in from the same HDMI, from the same capture card and things like that, even into OBS. You shouldn't run into that problem because everything's tied together, as opposed to you merging it together when it gets to OBS. That's what you're doing. You're saying, okay, I'm gonna put my audio in from here, and I'm gonna put my video in from here, and then I'm gonna put them together in OBS, and I'm gonna make OBS manage that sync up. Whereas if you just put it all into your camera, the audio, it syncs it up automatically through that HDMI cable, and that HDMI cable does all the work for you. It's a simple way. That's the simple solution for it. I'm sure there's probably benefits to running them separate, but for me, I don't necessarily like for it. For me, I'm coming from the perspective of a smaller church. It wouldn't necessarily matter. It says I don't have a capture card either. I use NDI. Okay, so what do you use for your live stream? So you using OBS, I'm guessing you're using it for a live stream. Do you share a camera feed? How do you get that video in terms of how do you get your video signal into OBS and tying that in with FreeShow as well would be my question, if you're not using a capture card, because a capture card is a small, it can be $10. I've bought them for $9 US, at least, on Amazon. So it doesn't have to be a really big, expensive one, but they usually come in handy, especially if you're going to use a camera, because it allows you to connect that HDMI port. But if maybe you're using a webcam, right? So that might be it. So if you're using a webcam, you wouldn't need that. So you share the camera feed, but how you getting the camera into your computer would be the question. And is it an ATEM? If it's an ATEM is like a capture card to me, but like you said, it's a an NDI plug-in. From what camera though? That would be my question. What kind of camera are you using to get that to work? That's pretty cool. It sounds like, at least. So from a beginner level, PTZ cameras, that makes sense. Yeah, so that makes sense. So yeah, so for your PTZ cameras, you're getting those in through NDI. Yeah, you would have to sync it, because most PTZ cameras, I guess some of them do have an HDMI port on it, but it really wouldn't make sense to route it that way. So yeah, PTZ camera, I think what you're doing where everything comes into OBS is going to probably be the easiest way to do it, just because you don't want to have to try to get audio into the camera and then bring it back in to your computer. So that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I wonder though, with that controller, with your do you have a PTZ controller? If so, can you run audio into that? That would be my question. Can you run the audio into your PTZ controller and then have it all synced up with your stuff that way? That might be an option. And I've never used a PTZ controller. I've just seen them online and looked at a few YouTube videos and things like that about them. But I've never used a PTZ camera personally, because I'm a cinematic video guy, so I'm used to using DSLRs, mirrorless cameras to capture video. And then so when I do church work or ministry work, I recommend the mirrorless cameras because they do allow multiple uses, right? So they're multifunctional, where you can use them for video, but you also can use them for photos, which it becomes this dual benefit that it benefits a lot of ministries that I've worked with. So he says, I need to get a PT. Okay, you need to get a PTZ controller. Got you. If you do, you might be able to run the audio to that. And that would take some research, so don't take my word for it, but that might be a way to keep that audio in sync without having to add the delay, which once it's set, though, you don't have to worry about it. So it's not a big deal. It just simplifies things, right? All right, so let's see, FoamMaker PTZ, it has HDMI port. Yes, that is correct. Okay, got you. And so for the beginner level stuff, right, so I was going to go into here. I turned on my live stream feed, and I'm going to switch over to using OBS now, because I've been using my YOLO box for what you guys are seeing now. But I'm going to switch over, and I'm going to show OBS. So let's see if we can make that work. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want to be able to show you guys this feed. And I don't want to show... This is the issue we ran into last week. I was trying to figure out a way to make it work to where I can show you guys my screen without it being a problem. But for now, let's wait. I'm gonna keep it off for now. And I want to talk about outputs. When it comes to outputs from a beginner level in FreeShow, when you go to your settings, this output window is invaluable. So you got to understand what you're looking at. You want to enable your output that you want to use. I've got a few of them down here. You're going to probably start out with one or two, and they don't have to be complicated. You can make them pretty much generic out the box as they are. But when you decide that you want to customize the output, the best way to do that is to adjust the style, right? And the reason why that's important is because it'll work for you, right? It simplifies your workflow to where when you go to your styles and you make a style that changes based on if you're showing a scripture or versus when you're showing a song, you don't have to worry about changing the template and all that kind of stuff real time. It'll automatically change that template for you. And so you want to create your templates first. This is what I take that back. You want to create your templates first. This is a style page, but you want to go into FreeShow and start with your templates. I tell that to people all the time. If you get any of my materials for the media leaders guide to starting with FreeShow, that's the workflow. Is you start with setting up your templates and set up the look, the colors, and all that kind of stuff of what you want. So you would go here and you would make your templates. So these are a bunch of my lower third templates that I've categorized for songs. This is the lower thirds templates that I've got for scriptures. I'm working on some podcast stuff, but then we got some presentation templates that I've got here, some scripture templates that are just general full screen templates, and then some song templates that are general full screen song templates, okay? And these include different fonts. This one has got a scroll going on. These are all big. These have to be set in order for your styles to make sense, right? And so when you go back into your settings, you would go ahead and make a style. So you make your template, and then you go into making a style. And this is just for my beginners. You all that have stuck with me for a while, you may have heard this already, but I just want to revisit it because for FreeShow Friday, we're going to always have a beginner level content. Then we're going to shift it into intermediate and then shift it into advanced. So stick with it. As you see things that you know, it'll get more advanced. So we're going to get a little bit more complicated with it. But when you go into making your style, when you add a style, you can make it brand new. Hit add at the bottom there. You can make it as new as you want or however you want to call it. And then you would set it up here for the kind of the default stuff of what it's going to look and feel like, how your media is going to go in terms of your pictures, how they're going to fill the screen. You got different options there. You can make it contain so it never gets cut off. You can make it cover, which kind of stretches it out. Or actually, it doesn't stretch it out. It just makes it come over and spread over the edges, as you can see there. And then you got the option that just fills it that actually does stretch it out. And then the blur fill is a newer option that allows you to put it in where it won't run off the edge, but it just fills in the whole screen with the blurred background of it on the sides, right? And I prefer that one, so I would probably keep it at that for my default. And then for your aspect ratio, 16:9 is pretty standard, so you would probably keep it at that. And then this is where things get interesting. For your slides, you can literally set up what you want to be active on this style. So you can set up the background to be active or deactivated, the slide to be active or deactivated. And the slide is just the text that's going to be on each slide, okay? And then overlays, you can make those show up or make those be deactivated as well by selecting this, and it'll come on and off based on that blue line. So if you look up here at the top or here on the right, I got this Welcome to Free Show Friday. That's my text or my slide. When I click it, it goes away, all right? Turn it back on, it comes on, all right? And then here, max lines, you can set that if you want to. I wouldn't necessarily worry about that at the beginner level. I would focus on picking those templates that you created to make sure that you can override your slides that have just regular text. They're not scriptures, they're just slides with text on them. Override those to look a certain way so that every Sunday you can be consistent, right? That's the best thing about this, is it allows you to be consistent without having to think about it. Same way with your scriptures, you can set those to be a certain way. And that becomes important because now you got this whole style set up. So when you go to outputs, you literally can pick a certain style. And I've got a few to pick from here, and I can scroll up and down. You'll see I've got different ones, right? And so for my live stream, I got this stream training set up. For my primary, I got just the default setup, all right? And my style, if I go here and I look at default, it is all this stuff. There's no particular template set up or anything like that. And since I don't intend on showing any scriptures or anything like that, that's not a big deal, okay? So that's the beginner level. From a more advanced and intermediate level stuff, when we talk about this, I would encourage you to set up your outputs to represent different phases of your ministry service, all right? And so I would set up a style that's just for worship, right? I would make a style that's just for worship. And then I would make another style that's just for when the pastor's teaching and sharing. I would make up one just for announcements or the intro pieces, right? And once you do that, you set up those styles, now you can go into your show and go to your functions, right? And this is all about how to, an intermediate level of how to adjust the look and feel of your show with these particular outputs. But you would go to your functions, and then you would create an action. And this has become one of my favorite actions, right? So I'm gonna just call it change output right now. I'll call it, we'll say change output layout, all right? And then when I say choose action, you can go here and it says output. I will go to the output section, and then there's an option that says change output style. And then it gives you an option that says all active outputs to be a certain style. I would not do that if you're going to have more than one output, like if you're going to have a live stream and an in-house screen, right? What I would say you do is you would go here to say specific outputs. And then you would literally say, I want my live stream to look like this. And then, so instead of this being called change output, I would call this worship output layout. And then I would make another one called teaching or preaching output layout. And so you would select what the live stream defaults are going to be, the style, right? And then you would select what the primary style is going to be. And once you do that, you'll be able to tie that particular action to the first slide of that show. And when you do that, it automatically sets the stage for every show, every slide after that. And that's an intermediate level processing of how to manage your outputs throughout. And it makes it to where you don't have to worry about making adjustments on the fly that much. And that's what I want to make sure you understand, is that you don't want to have to make major adjustments in the middle of service, but you do want to make this be a part of the regular workflow. Is that, okay, we need to add the worship action to the first worship slide. And every slide after that, every show after that is going to be managed accordingly. And then the very first teaching slide you have, or scripture slide, or whatever it is, you add a new action that's tied to the preaching time or the teaching time, and it'll automatically update that way as well. Now, let me know what questions you guys have about that, right? So we talked about a beginner level and an intermediate level of those things. Now, things become interesting when it comes to this other program. And I'm going to bring it in up here. And I have not talked to you guys about this yet. Let's see. Who in here has ever heard of Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, BitFocus Companion? So BitFocus Companion is, let's see here. Let me close this and this, and this. All right. So we've got BitFocus Companion up, and this looks like a bunch of buttons, and it really is, right? So this is an advanced level, to me, approach to managing FreeShow, but it allows you to interact with not just FreeShow, because a lot of us are using OBS, okay? Let's see here. Juanita, no, welcome, welcome. So the actions are set up instead of the styles for output. Well, they work together, right? So you would set up your styles. Let me go back. So you would set up your styles. Here we go. You would set your styles up as your primary. So your templates are the first thing that you want to set up, like I talked about. You would set up your templates however you want, and this is literally setting up like a PowerPoint, right? You would set up what you want it to be like. So you got content here of how these slides are going to look. Once you do that, now you go to your styles, and you apply, and you make a style for, you would make one that's called, worship time. You make one that's called preaching time, literally a style called that. And you would set how you want those slides to look. That's the primary part of this that's going to be changing, is what does the template slide or the template for regular slides look like when it's time for worship, where everything's going to be probably really big, right? The words are going to be really big. When it comes to the pastor's notes, they may want them to not be so big, but they want to have a different layout, right? They might want the words on the side, and they might want to just have a strip like we've got here. So we got some different presentation layouts. So they may want it to be this style. I'm gonna see if I can make this any bigger. I don't know if it'll get any bigger. Here we go. All right. So they might want it to have this blue bar on the side, or I got this purple and gold bar on the side for me. Or maybe they want it to be yellow, the text to be yellow, and they want bullet points. So they got a yellow header and then bullet points. That would be the style for teaching. And so when you go into your settings, you would make a teaching style or a sermon style, right? You would add in and name it that. And then you would make that be the template that you use. So you would go here and you would say, okay, I want to pick the one that has this blue. Now that you've got that set up, so yes, you do need to have that set up. The style needs to be correct the way you want, but you don't have to tie it to your output and it stays with the output. Basically what we're saying is the output is going to become, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. The output becomes the static thing, and the thing that you're changing is the style that goes into that output. You're just changing the style with these actions. And so you don't have to make a bunch of different outputs now. And this is what I used to do personally. I used to make a bunch of different outputs that had different styles. But now what I've grown to appreciate is, instead of making multiple outputs, I'll just go into my functions and I'll make an action that this changes my output to look like the worship output layout that I want. So I just made a new style, and I'll just use that style and I'll make it say, okay, I want that style to be my primary style now. So if I had a worship one, I would just pick that and be worship, right? As opposed to having what I've got now is I got a bunch of different outputs for different things. I would make actions to do that, because then you can tie them directly to your slide and just make it be there automatically. And you don't have to worry about it, because for a lot of what you all are doing, especially when it comes to like songs and things like that, the songs, you can actually put that action on the song, the show for the song, and it'll be there, and you don't have to worry about it in the future. It stays there. It's always there, right? So your shows, they're saved, right? I got my setup. Let me see if I go to general. Let me see. Okay, auto backup is daily, but I've got it'll save every time before you close the program. So when you save that output, that show, it'll automatically keep that action tied to it every time you open up that same show. So if you've got the songs that you guys like to play, that you guys like to sing, it's going to always keep that set up to where it's going to, I would just put on the first slide of all of my shows that have, that are songs, put that action on there that says, okay, this is a worship template or worship style. And we just tie that to there. That's by default, and automatically is going to show up the style you want every time. And so now you're putting the onus or the emphasis on your shows being specifically adjusted and your output doesn't have to be changed at all. You just literally going and adding an action to make that change. So your question was, so the actions are set up instead of the style for output. The actions are set up instead of changing your outputs, okay? In terms of, you don't have to make multiple outputs now. You literally just change your action, and that adjusts the output. The primary output stays the same. It's always primary. The output is always called primary. So over the top here, this is still called primary. I can make it look like a live stream. I can make it look like a worship time. I can make it look like a scripture time, whatever it is that you guys have for your flow based on that. And it simplifies things pretty easily. And that becomes interesting because when we start getting into advanced stuff, and I start talking to you guys about this idea called Companion, or this program called Companion, I've been working with it. You can literally set up certain things to do different things at the same time. This is what I like about this particular program, because now you're able to, if I go here, you're able to make a button, and I'm going to say create button, and we'll call this one, I don't know. I'm not even going to mess with that right now, but I'm going to go to the folder. You can see the FreeShow actions or options that are automatically set up. All right. So you can select output style by ID. You can change the audio volume. You can make a button that clears audio. You can make a button that clears the background. You can make a button that clears your overlays. You can make a button that goes to the next slide, that goes to your previous slide. You can make a button that, let's see here, select the slide by name if you want to go to a particular slide. And then they got this option that I've been working on. I have not mastered this part yet, but custom APIs where you can customize what that button is going to do. That's what I'm actually working on at an advanced level. That's why I say I'm not an advanced person, but I'm confident to make it do what I want, even with these, right? So you can select different styles and things like that from here, and you can put it on a button to just push it, and it'll say, you make this button say worship, and it'll automatically work. And you'd use that online. You can use it from a computer, and it'll look like this. These are the buttons. Or you can use it with an iPad, and that iPad is just tied to a browser. And so I've got the same thing here on my iPad, right? And my iPad is literally just connected to the internet. That's the only reason it shows it. Same idea, same buttons and everything like that. All right. Let's see here. It says button, is that like a hotkey in OBS? I don't even know. What's a hotkey in OBS? Oh, you know what? Yeah, definitely. I'm thinking of, I don't know why I thought when you said OBS, I'm thinking of an ATEM. Yes. It's like a hotkey. But here's the thing. This is where, this is why this is, to me, I call this an advanced level discussion, because when it comes to Companion, it's free for one. So it's like OBS in that sense. But this button, and I'll show you my other page. I'm gonna give you an example of it. So I was making like this scoreboard thing. So ignore these up here, these blue buttons. But you can make a button that does, let's see here, clear overlays. So cam 1. So this is a OBS. I'm not OBS, but this is a ATEM switcher button. So it's camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4. And the set program input is going to be camera 1, but it doesn't have to stop there. I can say, hey, when I go to camera 1 on my ATEM, I also want to change something in OBS. And this is where it becomes more complex. So you can say, okay, in OBS, I want to switch to a certain scene, right? So let me see here. I think it's down at the bottom. Let me double check. I'm scrolling through it pretty quick, but so I'm in OBS settings. These are buttons you can make in OBS. So you can toggle a source. You can toggle recording. So you can turn recording on and off in OBS. You can stop the recording and just add that to a button. Let's see, your set stream settings, transition durations for your transitions, set the program scene, right? So when I hit cam 1, I also wanted to set the program scene, and it gives me a list of all the different program scenes that I have in OBS. And so in OBS, I got ATEM share, I got FreeShow Friday split screen, I got FreeShow Friday split screen share, full screen FreeShow, Garry headshot. And so if I go over here to OBS, you can see, OBS, you can see those same scenes are here. And with the push of one button, I can make it switch from this to Garry Headshot. So I can go into my tablet. I'm gonna go to my tablet real quick and I'm gonna push that button. So these buttons are literally like shortcuts. And so I'm gonna go here. Let's see. So I'm already on there. So I'm gonna go to, this is FreeShow Friday split screen right now. And so in my tablet, I can literally click the option that was called Cam 1, I believe. When I click that, it automatically switches it to change OBS, but it also changes on my ATEM switcher, right? It doesn't stop there. You can literally make that one button that changes the camera 1. You can make that button also change something in FreeShow. And that's where my mind goes boom. Because now, hey, what's going on, Pastor Peter? Joining from Livingstone, Zambia. Welcome, my friend. Thanks for joining us. You've jumped in. I'm not sure when you jumped in, but we start out. So FreeShow Friday, the new template, the layout's going to be, and I'm going to check. The problem is not a thing. We're going to be talking about, I cleared overlays. All right. We're going to be talking about beginner level stuff, and then we're going to switch into intermediate stuff. And now we're in some advanced discussion, and we're talking about using Companion, the Companion app. And this is literally just a browser-based application. So it literally requires you to have internet access. So that's the one thing that we got to be mindful of. Just like if you're live streaming, though, you're going to have to be on the internet anyway. So that's not a big deal. But what this program allows you to do, once you set it up, is it allows you to create your own custom shortcut buttons to do a number of things. So this is one time when I press this button. Step 1 it's called step 1, but it says when I press the button, what happens? I change something on my ATEM, I change something in OBS, but I also can change something. If I click this red line here, I can also change something in FreeShow. Multiple things if I wanted to. So I could change a variable, or I could clear everything out. I can, clear the background, go to the previous project, right? You can go to the next project. There's a lot of different things you can do with this particular setup with this program that, like I said, it's just advanced level stuff. It's just another way to manage your processes, right? So OBS is good. Like the shortcuts in OBS, they're great. Just like actions are great in FreeShow, but they only work where they are. What if you could use FreeShow to control OBS, for example, or use OBS to control FreeShow? That's what Companion does. It allows you to control both of them. Okay, that's where it becomes interesting. Somebody recently shared a video with me. You guys, if you haven't seen the interview, the exclusive interview I did with the board member of FreeShow and the developer, the creator of FreeShow, the board member's name was Michael Bird. He actually sent me a video. He goes to churches in the United States, at least, and he and his wife literally travel along in their like a mobile home or trailer or whatnot, and they literally connect with ministries, and they stick with them one-on-one to roll out these church app programs in these ministries that are all completely free, and they stick with them to help them go from, they might stay there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, helping this ministry get off the ground with all the church apps, including FreeShow. And he showed me one of the ministries he was working with where the guy was using, the MIDI controls, right? So he was using, let's see, not variables, but triggers. So if I do new trigger, what was it at? Is that, in action. So if you do a new action, I believe, if I go choose action, okay, so he was using MIDI signals. He was using the MIDI signals to send things to control OBS and vice versa. It was crazy. It was advanced, right? So he was using that to talk to these. So basically he was using the MIDI signal to be able to talk to both programs. He was using it to using FreeShow's MIDI signal to talk to OBS, and I believe it was vice versa. It was over my head because I just never understood MIDI signals, but I believe it's a lot like what we're talking about with Companion. So where do you find Companion? You just type it in, do a search for it on the internet called BitFocus Companion. And when you do that, let me close this out so you can see. So I'm literally just on the internet. It's called BitFocus Companion. It'll ask you to download it. And then when you download it, it allows that program to run. So right now, this is my my options for bit focus up here. They're really small on you guys' screen, but it gives you the option to show or hide the window, to launch the GUI, and then to scan for USB devices, and then to show configuration photos. So if I show it, here's what it'll look like once you download it. It'll pop up here. And I just searched for this on my computer. It's an app it's on my computer. But when I quit it, it literally is only running on Google Chrome. I'm using Google Chrome to run it. And so it runs over the internet, and it allows you, though, anything connected to your network or connected to your computer, whatever, you can control it. So OBS, right? You can control FreeShow. I went to settings. I'm gonna go back to hide. All right, but let me see what else options you get. So connections. I go to my connections. I've got it. Oh, my ATEM. So you can control your ATEM. If your ATEM is connected to the network, you can control it using Companion. And so your ATEM allows you to hook up like 4 different cameras, right? So you can control it using this program. OBS, it's you can use that because it's connected on your computer or on the network as well. FreeShow the same way. When you use it with FreeShow, what you have to remember, and this is something I didn't realize, if you're going to use it with FreeShow, it won't interact with FreeShow until you go to your settings and go to connections and select API. And you'll see here it's got WebSocket, REST, OSC, and then Companion. This is that program, Companion, and you would turn that on. So I keep that on now all the time, and it just opens up that way where it stays on. So now I can actually use Companion to control FreeShow. And my goal is ultimately is to shift from just using those generic buttons that come with it, right? So you can make different pages. So you can have as many pages of this as you want with different setups. So you might have one page that's called Sunday morning, and another one is called Wednesday night. If you have midweek service or something like that, and you use different settings in FreeShow or something like that, you can make a page that just shows the settings you need for that, and you can customize it however you want to. So I made one called FreeShow Friday that I'm working on that's going to allow me to control OBS, allow me to control FreeShow, and then manage the flow. So you guys have been challenging me to make sure to show the topics that I'm talking about, and doing FreeShow Friday and have it be like a title that shows up at the bottom or the top or wherever. And I use it as, I set up an overlay last week, but the challenge is it's hard for me to manage the overlay while I'm doing tutorials and walking through, because I'm not always sharing my FreeShow screen. So overlay on FreeShow really won't make sense, but it will if I can control it from here. And that's the goal, is to be able to control it all from BitFocus, or BitFocus Companion. All right, so just do a search for BitFocus Companion. You'll find it. Like I said, this is the logo of it and all that kind of stuff, so you'll be able to see it. It looks like a little network, fingers with dots at the end of them or whatnot with arrows. But that is the advanced discussion I wanted to share with you guys today. So we talked about outputs from a beginner level, how to manage them, starting with your templates, going into your styles, and then going to your outputs and selecting a style. From an advanced level, taking those same styles and using actions to control them, right? Instead of making multiple outputs with different styles, just make multiple actions with different styles and drag those particular actions onto your slides that you want, right? So if I wanted to make this slide have this particular, or this show have this action, I would just drag it to the first one, and everything after that will conform to it. And then from an advanced level, scaling it up a bit, I guess you could say, is taking that same idea and controlling it from a device, or in this case, an interface called Companion, that allows you to make and customize your buttons. With one push of a button, you can make a change in FreeShow, OBS, and your ATEM switcher, for example, if you wanted to. I believe you could even make a connection for, I know you were talking about like a PTZ camera. Let's see here. I don't know how to. So they got a lot of different PTZ cameras in here. So if you've got a PTZ camera, you can literally control it using Companion as well. And so while you're trying to manage FreeShow and your camera and OBS, you can do that simpler with this particular program. And you don't even need an iPad to do it. You can do it from your computer, because you can just open up this option called Web Buttons, and it takes you to the same buttons. And these buttons literally interact. And I just scroll up and down because I got a bunch of them. I got a bunch of pages of them. But they interact with all those programs real time, because this is connected on the network. And it's just an IP address that it gives you. And this one has a backslash tablet or forward slash. I don't know what the difference between the two, so forgive me. Some of you guys are really smart about that kind of stuff. I'm not that great with those details, but you can connect on the network. As long as that tablet or that computer is on the network, you can control this all from another computer using this companion program. All right. So check that out when you get time. What other questions do you guys have generically about outputs or anything like that? And I'm going to go to a poll that I sent out. If you have not taken the poll, please take the poll. And this poll was asking about your level of confidence using FreeShow. So what is your level of confidence with FreeShow? And let me go to my poll to see what the results are so far. So far, we got 21 votes, and over half of you guys feel like you're at an intermediate level. All right. And so I don't even know how to show this. Let me see. I can go to my post tab. All right. Let me pull this up so you guys can see it. All right. So over half of you guys say that you are at a intermediate level. So 52%. And then 43% say beginner. So I'm going to call that's almost 50-50, honestly, to me. And then 5% of us are saying that we're at an advanced level, which is great. And so this is something I want to keep up on my page. So I want to encourage people to keep checking it out, keep doing it, because the goal is that this would shift, right? As we do this for, the next several months, that more people will become more intermediate and more people will become advanced level. And I just want to aid in doing that. And the more that you guys share this stuff, that should change it as well. The more that we start sharing the videos and asking the questions and going to GitHub and going to Reddit and asking those questions, the more we'll see this community grow. And I don't want to leave out anybody. That was the thing that I thought about with FreeShow Friday. It started with my level, which was beginner level months ago. And then it shifted to becoming maybe more intermediate throughout. I want to make sure that we have something for everybody, that when we're talking about FreeShow Friday, I don't want anybody that's a beginner to not feel welcome or feel like they don't understand what's going on. But I also don't want those that are intermediate to sit there twiddling their thumbs thinking, oh, this isn't that great. I wanted something more advanced. And then even those advanced users, I want to make sure we have something for you as well that makes sense. And so we're going to split our time up to do that in that way. And we're going to be focusing on mostly these three programs, but as things develop, we're going to come up with different ideas and different ways to do that using OBS, using FreeShow, using Companion, using your hardware, right? So using your ATEM switchers, using your YOLO boxes, your soundboards, whatever it may be. That's going to be our focus when it comes to FreeShow Friday going forward. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys and you can look forward to it and have some things to go through. Brian's asking, where's the poll? The poll is on my page. So the Garry B Jr. On YouTube, you can just go to the Garry B Jr. If you've ever signed up for anything on my website, you should have got an email with that poll today. So you might check your spam. My email might have gone to your spam. It will come from Garry B Jr. as well. You can go there and take the poll, right? So in the email, it's on the poll. But if you go to my page, just my YouTube page, I believe, let's see here, it should show up. I'm not that familiar with the polls, to be honest with you. Let me see. Garry B Jr. Let me pull it up. So if you go here, click on the little icon. Okay. So post. And it'll show you this. I think you guys will be able to see this, right? All right. And so for the post, no, you wouldn't see it this way. I'm logged in, so but you'll see it there. So let me go to it as a different user. Hold on, let me see. Let me go to it under a different profile. That didn't show up. Hold on. Let's do here. Okay. Hold on. I want to get to YouTube. Okay. All right, so I'm on YouTube. If I type in Garry B Jr., I guess I could just click on that there. No, I don't want to go there. I'm going to just go to Garry B Jr. That's a very good question. All right, so this is not my logged in account, so it should show up how you all would see it. If I go to post, you'll see it here. Yeah, under post. So go to post and you'll see it there, and you can take the poll and click on whatever one makes sense for you. All right, we got 21 votes so far. Hopefully we can get some more that's going to represent more accurately this community. because I do want to see that progress. And I'll make another poll, another time. But today, what does that look like? What are we looking like? Are we all intermediate? Are we all beginner? Are we all advanced? Or what's that breakout? Because that plays a part in this whole process of all the different videos we've made together and discussed together and things like that. My hope is that we become more advanced. But also, when I started using this program months ago, one of the things that stood out was that everybody wasn't using FreeShow. Even though they had downloaded it, they weren't implementing it and rolling it out in their services, in their ministry. So to me, the main thing is, how can we make sure that you feel comfortable rolling it out? That was the big question. How do you get comfortable to roll out this particular program? And usually that means you're going to have to be at an intermediate level at least to feel comfortable doing that, to know that you can handle any hiccups or any changes that might come up. And I can understand that, because as a media leader myself in a lot of different venues, in a lot of different ways, that's important. You want to be able to answer any questions that the volunteers or yourself might have as the service goes on, because you don't want to interfere with the service. When I first started talking about or being a media leader and or being on the media team for any ministry, one of the things I always thought about myself is that I want to be invisible. I do not want to be seen or heard while I'm serving in that capacity. And when I do that, I'm at my best, right? When you don't see or hear or pay attention to the media team, I believe that's when they're at their best. That's when I believe you're at your best as a media team member. When people don't have to look back because they heard a squeal on the soundboard, or they don't have to look back and say, "Can you go ahead and start the track?" You don't want to have to have attention drawn to you as a part of the media team. And so that intermediate level helps you to alleviate that, is my thoughts with it. So, yep, Brian, I'm working on it, man. Thanks for joining in. Hopefully, I got a few more questions about the companion piece, because I'm working on trying to make it tie into my actions a lot easier, because I want to do some custom actions and things like that. If you guys use companion, or somebody that uses it a lot, let me know, because that's the next step for me, is understanding how to integrate that more with FreeShow with these custom APIs. And I don't know how to do that just yet, but I have reached out to Christopher, the developer on Reddit. You can see that stream. I've been asking him questions left and right, and I try to take it easy, because I don't want to keep asking him a bunch of stuff just for me, but I do want to make sure we get some questions answered, because I will share it with you guys. So hopefully I'll get this figured out in the next coming week. I've been working on it all this week, and I couldn't get it quite to the place I wanted it to, so I didn't use OBS like I did last week. But once I do get it figured out, I'll be using OBS, and you'll be able to see those titles of what topics we're talking about and all that good stuff. All right. Well, until next time, you guys, I'm Garry B. Jr., and I look forward to seeing you next Free Show Friday, and hopefully with some fun videos. Check out the website, GarryBJr.com. Get anything that you can that you need there. Hopefully it's a helpful resource. A lot of media kits there with lower thirds, even some backgrounds that are there, and then also tutorials and courses, and the Free Show planning form. We're going to talk about that in the future. A lot of you guys, not a lot, some of you guys have filled out a Free Show planning form, and what that is just a breakdown of your ministry needs. I'm going to start recreating those as a part of some videos. So if you complete your Free Show planning form, I get a copy of what you submitted. You get to keep a copy to print out, and it shows you how many stage layouts you need and how long each segment of your ministry time is for the service, and all that stuff that you can use as a resource to set up your Free Show. And this planning guide is completely free, so you can go to it. Let me see. I'm going to go to it real quick, because I would love for you guys to get access to that and use it. Even as an intermediate user, it can be beneficial, okay? And I say that because it helps you talk with your media volunteers or whatever it is. So I'm going to go to, so I got different options here. So templates, presentation backgrounds, and then beginning with Free Show. I'm going to click on that one. It's called the Free Show planning form, all right? When you get this form, it literally is just a link to a form. And when you do it, you complete the form, and then it sends you an email with a PDF printout of all that stuff that you filled out, and it organizes it. But in that form, it also gives you some links to some videos that'll help you along the way. But the idea is that it'll give you an idea of what you need to set up in Free Show. Going back to what we talked about, how to set up your templates, right? If you're doing a live stream, you want to have lower thirds, then make sure that you make a template for lower thirds, or select one and then tie that into a style, and so forth and so on. Oh, my audio is low. Let me see. I can boost it a little bit there. Hopefully that helps a bit. Sorry, it's low. It's probably just me. I'm winded, man. I ran my fastest mile in a long time, in the past 10 years at least. I haven't been running for a while, but I had surgery on my knee about a year and a half ago now, and I can run again. So I haven't been able to run for like 10 or 12 years. And so I've been working out, and I ran hard today, you guys. I ran hard. But so yeah, that is why I'm probably a little bit low today. But check out the FreeShow planning form, fill it out, print it out, save it, use it for your ministry. You might fill out another one. If you make changes in your ministry, you'll need to fill out another FreeShow planning form, completely free. It doesn't change anything for me. You just put in your information and download it, and fill out the information of what does it need, what do you need, and it gives you a way to kind of see it in a succinct format to lay out what steps you need to take in FreeShow to make those changes. Your OBS level should be up to the red level. Oh, really? I hate to hit the red, man. Look, I'm not using OBS though for my audio, so I'm using my YOLO box, and it's showing up in the yellow as well. Let me see here. If I go to from a video background, I hate to hit the red, so I'm bad about that. But let me go here. I'm gonna go to my outputs. It's up about there. So let's see if that helps out a little bit. I pulled that up a little bit. I turned it up on the soundboard as well, so it should be a lot better. I say a lot. It should be a little bit better. We got Gillette PR. Right, only 0 dB. 0 dB is where stuff starts distorting, man. I don't want to do 0 dB. I hate that. I don't want to do that. But yes, that is important though. All the way to the tip, all the way to the edge of the red is 0 dB. So I get you. I try to stay around the 12 dB mark. But like you said, I need to turn it up. So I would probably, if I was using OBS, I would just turn it up for you guys. But I don't use OBS. I use my my YOLO box, and so the way it works is it's up a bit, but I also try to manage the noise. So I can turn it up on my. I got a lot of gain staging going on in here, so I've got it going from my soundboard to my camera, or actually, yeah, from my camera into my ATEM, which has audio controls, and then the ATEM is sending the signal into my YOLO box, which also has audio controls. So yeah, I hear you. Definitely don't go above 0, but in the red, it is safe, especially online. I agree with you there. And yeah, that's a whole nother story. That's a good question. Good point though. I appreciate that. What other questions or thoughts do you guys have before I let you go? Like I said, I wanted to introduce you guys to that planning forum for sure. Check it out, especially if you're new to FreeShow or if you're an intermediate. It just helps you organize those thoughts. And then also the form, right? Not the form, but the poll. Take the poll. Let me know what you think and where you feel your comfort level is. And that's just here on my YouTube channel under post. All right. Thanks again for joining. I'll look forward to seeing you guys next time. If you haven't already, feel free to like and subscribe. I don't ask for that a lot. Not that I don't care. I really just want it to be something that if you really want to do it, you do it because it's valuable to you. But this is what you can expect from this channel. And I want to continue to be able to do that at a high level. And I look forward to talking with you guys later. Brian's asking about Spotify. I don't have a Spotify account, but we can talk about that another time. How can you integrate Spotify? To me, I would say probably from your phone, right? I would probably integrate it from my phone more than anything. But if you're talking about for companion, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know if you can integrate Spotify. Let's see. Where did I put companion? I think I closed it. I don't know where it went. Oh, let's see. Here we go. And so I don't think it'll do it, but maybe it will. Spotify. Yep. Spotify web API controller. You can do that. I've never used Spotify. Actually, I don't. You won't be surprised what I don't use. But yes, so you can control Spotify with they got a web API and controller here. And so you can put that into Companion along with all the other connections you need, and you'll be able to control all those from one centralized spot. Yeah, no worries, Brian. And happy Easter, Al. For everybody else, like I said, God bless you guys, and love you. Talk to you later.